USA Warrior Stories is a not-for-profit organization designed to record, archive, and share videos of veterans' stories, to help veterans make a connection with one another and to help us all better understand their sacrifices for our freedoms.
The President of the United States, Lyndon Baines Johnson.
I'm happy to have this opportunity to speak to the students of America. At such a time, when historic decisions and a deep commitment by all Americans are quite necessary, you are doing the most important work which you really can do, preparing yourselves for a future that's filled with danger, but also filled with promise.
I graduated June the 8th, 1965. We had to register for the draft, and there was a sergeant from the Army there, and he told me that I would be jumping out of airplanes at Fort Benning, Georgia, and I told him no way was I going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. So 2 weeks later, I decided that I was going in the Marine Corps. September the 1st, that year, I wind up in the Marine Corps at Parris Island, South Carolina.
Your first look at Parris Island is a quick one. You move directly from the bus into the reception building.
From Parris Island, graduating in October that year, I wind up going to Camp Geiger, which is in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I was sent from there to Camp Pendleton, California, where I became a part of the 1st Military Police Battalion, which had not been in effect since Korean War. So from there, after our training on May the 8th, we wind up leaving Camp Pendleton for South Vietnam. South Vietnam, I was there about 2.5 months, and I decided that I wanted to do something that wasn't just as should have, so I wound up leaving the Military Police Battalion, going to Hill 55 with the 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, which is known as the Walking Dead. After being with the Walking Dead, 2.5 months, we were on a mission, a search and destroy mission, wherein in 3 days I wind up jumping on 3 different grenades. It was 3 days in a row, 3 different places. We were on search and destroy missions in different areas. The first one, we were guarding a railroad track, just about dawn in the morning before the sun came up. And we could see as normally we halt, who goes there, and all of a sudden there were a grenade tossed. So I pushed my buddy down and I jumped on the grenade. He jumps up and he shoots the guy, kills him. Next night, we're in a different area, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose, and we hear another thump. There's another grenade in the hole. Well, the next night, it happened again, the 3rd time. I wind up jumping on a. Most people ask me, did it take me 3 grenades to learn that, but we were trained to look out to save your buddy. So that was why it was done, because of training. Fortunate for me, the 3 grenades each time that were thrown was duds. Well, first of all, that 5 seconds, it takes that grenade to look like a lifetime. So each one of those times you go through a change, because you don't know, you're waiting for it to go off to take you out of here. But people ask, how could you do what you did? I wasn't thinking. The adrenaline was pumping, and I knew I had a job to do, and that's what I did. My main concern was to keep my butt safe and to keep my men safe. So later on, after going through 10 different skirmishes in Vietnam, my time was just about up. On May the 13th at what we call the church, that morning I had just been promoted to corporal. That afternoon, again, we was on search and destroy at the 17th parallel, wherein we ran into 2,000 or better North Vietnamese soldiers. Well, about 3 o'clock that afternoon, my lieutenant, my first sergeant, myself, and my first fire team leader, we were discussing, man, something's about to happen. So the lieutenant looked at me and said, Mac, do you feel that something? I said, yeah, the lieutenant, you know, every time my hat stand up on my head, there's something bad. Well, 15 minutes later, the lieutenant was dead. I was wounded, shot in the chest, but I went back into the engagement 3 different times to bring out, after being shot, for 3 different other Marines that I brought out. From there, I wind up coming back to hospital repost. From repost, I wind up Clark's Air Force Base. From Clark, I came into Yokosuka, Japan. From Yokosuka, I wind up going to Anchorage, Alaska, only to be gassed up. From there, I wind up coming to Andrew Air Force Base. I spent 3 days there. From there, I wind up Montgomery, Alabama, to Air Force Hospital there. From there, I wind up in Jacksonville, Florida, which I'm a Floridian. So, and I was there for 2.5 months before I recovered. Then I went back to Paris Island, where I became an instructor on the rifle range. I wind up getting the Purple Heart, yes, from the wound where I got shot in the chest. Nobody knew anything about the 3 grenades that I jumped on earlier, because I never talked about it. You lose a lot of buddies in the beginning because you got acquainted with each other when you had the time. But once you got in the jungle and you got new recruits coming, you wouldn't get close to them because you didn't want them, that pressure that you've gotten so close and a loved one you lost. I mean, I don't get me wrong. There's a young man, I wish I could find his family. He was Mexican named John Avila. John was from Los Angeles, and we had gotten very close. And we were on a mission where we had gotten pinned down, and they were asking volunteers to go because our first platoon had gotten pinned down. They were in a crossfire between 2 machine guns, and our guys was laying there on. And so somebody had to go, so I volunteered to go. So did John from his platoon. And I look up, I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going with you. I said, no, don't need both of us going. Both of us at that time had just had kids. Neither one of us was married, but our girlfriends had children. And I think our sons were maybe a day or 2 apart. He in Los Angeles, I'm in Florida. And when I went and I crossed the machine gun, I made it. When John went to come across, a bouncing Betty blew up and the fragments from it hit him in the throat. Now I can't worry about the dead, I gotta worry about my friend. So now I turn back, get back on that path under those machine gun fire, put him on my chest and get him off the path. Well, I learned 15 minutes later he had died. And you go into shock, especially. So you learn after that, not get so close to people unless you're gonna go through it. And to see your friends die like that, it's hurtful. Yeah. I got out of service in 1968. I wound up working in the sister century for a while. 1972, I believe, I went to work for Piper Aircraft. I worked there 7 years, and from there I wind up going in the Postal Service. I have 4 kids. My oldest daughter, which is the 3rd child, we mentally challenged because of Agent Orange, but yet and still they are saying, oh no, that wasn't the case. But my other kids are successful. My oldest son is went off to college, and he has now a private investigator for DCF. My youngest son, which is the 2nd oldest, he will retire next year with 26 years He did 4 years in the Marine Corps, and the rest of the time now he's in the Army. My youngest daughter, she is assistant state attorney down in West Palm Beach. My grandkids are serving. I have a granddaughter that's an E6, I believe. She's in the Army, and she has finished with her degree, planning on going in as a warrant officer. My youngest grandson, he now is, he went in as a mechanic, had enough of that, so he's in bio now. In medicine, he's in South Korea. So you know my story. Well, I tell people it's not me, it's all about God, God and country. I'm a minister. I'm still a servant in the community. I'm on life membership with some of everybody, VFW, with American Legion, disabled veterans, you name it. And I'm also with the 19th Judicial Court system here in Indian River County as a mentor. So I'm still working in that field, helping people. That's my main goal, being a servant of God.